It is my true pleasure to officially install Patrick Gallagher as the 18th Chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh. Pat will add to a long list of chancellors who have made great contributions to the progress of this university. Because this is the actual date on which the university was awarded its charter, I want to provide a glimpse of some of the historic chancellors. Only 17 individuals have served as Chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh. And you can relax, I'm not going to do all 17. So I'm going to start with number 1, but I thought you might get nervous when I did. Starting with you, Henry Breckinridge, our founder, in addition to founding the Pittsburgh Academy, which received its charter 6 months before the nation ratified its Constitution, he helped establish Allegheny County and the city of Pittsburgh, founded the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and is considered the first American novelist. Then at the turn of the century, Chancellor William Jacob Holland made a unique contribution to the city and the world. In addition to being the head of the university, he was director of the Carnegie Museum, where we are now. He worked closely with Andrew Carnegie to bring the first dinosaur fossils to the world stage. Just after him, John Brashear served as acting chancellor, bringing worldwide recognition to the university through his work in advancing the development of the telescope, a technical wonder of that era. During the year of the Great Depression, John Bowman had the vision of building the Cathedral of Learning to serve as a tower singing upward to tell the epic story of Pittsburgh. 97,000 children contributed dimes toward its contribution, and it took 10 years to build. And although I today mention only these important contributions from a few of our chancellors, I would enjoy also including many achievements of faculty and alumnus in a multitude of disciplines that have done things that are amazing and have helped change the world. But for the sake of time, I will keep those stories for another day. Patrick Gallagher joins an institution with a history of achievement. He joins it during a time when the world of higher education is changing. This is a time when new ideas and strong leadership are needed more than ever. Patrick Gallagher brings us both. Pat was elected in February of 2014 by the Board of Trustees as the 18th Chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh, effective this past August. His academic and professional resume is a testament to the respect he has earned in both academics and in the arena of national policy making. Chancellor Gallagher received a bachelor's degree in physics and philosophy from Benedictine College and went on to earn a PhD in physics at Pitt in 1991. Following his nomination by President Barack Obama and his confirmation by the U.S. Senate, Chancellor Gallagher became director of the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST as it's well known. That happened in 2009, and he was given the additional position of Undersecretary of Commerce for Standards and Technology in 2010. He served in both capacities until June 2014. During those years, he provided strong leadership for NIST, which promotes U.S. innovation and industrial competitiveness by advancing measurement science, standards, and technology. Chancellor Gallagher takes the role of chancellor at a world-class research university that has earned the reputation of being one of the nation's best institutions for undergraduate education, that continually ranks in the top tier of federally funded research, and that has an unwavering commitment to excellence, as recently noted by the Middle States Commission for Accreditation. There is a long history at Pitt of appointing visionary leaders. That tradition continues with the addition of Chancellor Gallagher. The University of Pittsburgh Board of Trustees is honored to officially install Chancellor Gallagher and to welcome him wholeheartedly to our great university. Pat, would you please step forward? Patrick Gallagher, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I now have the high honor and esteemed privilege to formally install you as the 18th Chancellor of the University of Pittsburgh. In doing so, I extend to you all the rights, honors, duties, and responsibilities pertaining to your office. confident that you will continue to provide strong and effective leadership for our university. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. I'm going to have to start, of course, with some obligatory thank yous before making just a few remarks and getting to honoring all of you, which is why we're here today. I want to start by recognizing this remarkable group that sits behind me. These are the Board of Trustees for the University of Pittsburgh. They are my boss. And they also have been incredibly dedicated to this university, to advancing it, to protecting it, and to being great stewards. So we owe them all a great debt of gratitude, but I in particular owe them a lot for all of the support and kindness they've shared with me since my selection last year. A couple of people that I need to thank personally as well, and I want to start with Steve Tritch. Only yesterday, Steve completed what will be his last full meeting as our chairman of the Board of Trustees. At our next meeting in June, he will step down from that role. And that means that Steve, among many things that he has done, presided over one of the largest changes that a university sees, and that's a change in leadership. And it happened after following a remarkable tenure of stability and success for the university. Under Mark Nordenberg. So Steve, the university community and the Pittsburgh region, and actually the nation, owe you a great debt of gratitude for all that you have done for Pitt. And I personally want to add my thanks to you for your support and friendship during my transition. I also want to thank Eva Bloom, who chaired the search committee, and that's of course where I first met her, but she is also the incoming chair-elect for the Board of Trustees, and she will take the gavel from Steve in June. So Eva, I want to thank you for everything that you have done, and you will be an amazing chair for this university. And the other member I want to thank is Morgan O'Brien. Morgan chaired the transition committee and did a remarkable, but I will say a very behind-the-scenes role, supporting the 1,001 details that accompany a change in leadership. And I want to thank him for everything that he did to make that so smooth and so successful. I also want to acknowledge my family. Karen is here with my sons, Sean, Devin, and Ryan. They're somewhere behind the lights where I can't see them. But their support has been absolute despite the many changes this will mean in their lives, and I want to thank them for all of their love and support. And I also want to turn to all of you. I want to thank the many guests, representatives that are with us today. They represent the great institutions of this city and this region, and they remind us that the university is not just a place. It's an intimate part of that place. And I want to extend a warm welcome to all of you. And I also want to extend a special welcome to your guests. Many of you have invited faculty, supporters, and friends that you've invited to be with you today, and they take a very special and personal pride in your accomplishments, and for good reason, I might add. And I want to welcome all of them and thank them for joining us today. Now, I'm not exactly sure why we wait almost 7 months before officially installing a new chancellor. I'm pretty sure it's not for looking for warmer weather. And there might have been a free trial period that I wasn't entirely certain about. But I will say that the delay provided two great benefits that I'd like to share with you. The first one is that I now have a much better perspective on what makes Pitt such a special place than I did 7 months ago. From our remarkable students to our committed faculty to the staff, Pitt is special because of what you do. I want to thank all of you for your warm welcome to me and to my family. You've shared your experiences with me. You've offered support. Since arriving in August, I've had the privilege to meet with many of you. I've had a chance to visit all of our campuses, most of our schools and centers, and I'm still getting to them. And I've had a chance to see firsthand what makes Pitt tick. And a special note of thanks goes to the senior leadership team of the university, from the senior vice chancellors, my senior staff, the Council of Deans, our University Senate Council, and members of the many student, faculty, and staff, leaders and organizations that share in the process of collectively governing this great institution. I also want to extend a special thanks to my predecessor, to Mark Nordenberg, for his partnership and gracious support during my transition into a job that he did so well. Mark, together we sought to make a model for an effective transition, and I think we've succeeded, and I want to thank you. The second reason I think it's timely that we waited is that today is a special day. It lets us use Honors Convocation, one of our most important celebrations of achievement and leadership, to formally herald in a new beginning for the university. And I think this is actually perfectly fitting, and I'm going to come back to that in just a few minutes. For those of you who like numerology, this is a special day, 228, and it's our 228th founding. For those of you who enjoy patterns, Mark Nordenberg was installed as Chancellor on Founders Day, February 28th, at Honors Convocation, which I think is a great omen for success. So it's worth reflecting, 228 years ago, Pittsburgh was quite different. It was a small frontier outpost carved out of the western Pennsylvania forest. It's also worth reflecting at that time, as a country, we were just a few months from our founding fathers going to Philadelphia to begin the process that would result later that year in their drafting of our Constitution, and later that year by the ratification of that Constitution by the very first states. And here, just across the state, but frankly a world away, at the edge of a wilderness in a land dominated by rugged individualists, our founder, Hugh Henry Brackenridge, was pushing for the creation of a new school, writing that we all know that the strength of a state resides in the superior mental capacity of its inhabitants. Now, why is this important? Well, in February, the Pennsylvania Assembly listened to Hugh Henry Brackenridge and passed an act to establish the school. It was then called the Pittsburgh Academy. And the act opens with the clause, whereas the education of youth ought to be a primary object of every government. It's quite interesting. This is important because the mission of this university was and remains to support both the private good of what an education brings to all of you individually, so that you can advance and prosper in your own lives, but it also provides a key public good. That an educated and enlightened population is the key to the well-being of a society and to its capacity to prosper and thrive. Today there is a growing cynical view, one even embraced by several elected officials across the country, that higher education is purely a private good. The only benefits accrued are to those who get the education, or in the language of some, that it really is only about receiving special work-related training and skills. And of course, the natural policy response to that is to slash funding and to minimize the value of higher education to being at best kind of a high-end job training program. I wholeheartedly reject this view. In fact, that viewpoint runs counter to our own history. Our mission, when distilled down to its simplest form, is to make the world a better place through knowledge. And it undoubtedly benefits those who are educated here, and it will certainly lead to greater opportunities for their jobs, their careers, and their lives. But it also leads to a societal benefit in an educated population and by our collective advances in understanding the world around us. Our governments, our economies, our communities, and our world are all the better for us being here. One only has to look at Western Pennsylvania to see that this is true. There is perhaps no other place where the power of ideas and the creative ingenuity of its students, faculty, and alumni have been so responsible for transforming a region or an area and benefiting everyone, not just the alumni. Pittsburgh today looks nothing like the small frontier town that it was, any more than Pitt resembles the log cabin classroom where it started. Both have been dramatically changed and reinvented many times by technology, by society, by circumstance, but most of all by the people who have studied, worked, and lived to transform this university and this place. We have become a model for the rest of the world. Visitors come to see the Pittsburgh story and try to emulate our magic sauce for success and reinvention. And of course, a central part of that story and a key ingredient in that magic sauce has been the region's university, and Pitt principally among them. Our history proudly endorses our founders' belief that there is no greater measure of the strength of a state than in the mental capacities of its inhabitants. And it is for this reason that Pitt stands as a beacon of hope to the residents of this region. Almost 150 years after our founding, another University of Pittsburgh Chancellor, John Bowman, wanted to capture this symbolic power of the university to the community, and he called for a new tall building to be erected on the Oakland campus that, in his words, quote, was to be more than a schoolhouse. It was to be a symbol of the life that Pittsburgh through the years had wanted to live. It was to make visible something of the spirit that was in the hearts of pioneers as long ago they sat in their log cabins and thought by candlelight of the great city that would sometime spread out beyond their own three rivers and that even they were starting to build. Now, this was a little controversial. One, I might add, that was actually opposed by many of the faculty, the community, even members of the Board of Trustees. Many practical-minded Pittsburghers thought this project was a frivolous waste of money, an opinion that I suspect was strongly strengthened when our country slipped into the depths of the Great Depression. But ultimately, the Cathedral of Learning did become the symbol that Chancellor Bowman envisioned. And I don't think it's because of its striking Gothic appearance and 42 stories that stand above Oakland or its unique architectural features, but more because that building captured the spirit of this university and what it meant to the region. It is a place of hope, of big ideas, ideas that carry the potential for our own transformation, sometimes against tremendous odds. As I reflect on my own journey, many things combined to bring me back to Pitt, to serve as your chancellor. Some personal, some professional, but standing above all of them was this great mission: to improve ourselves, our communities, our cities, and our nation, and the world around us through learning and knowledge. As a lifelong public servant, I could not imagine a higher calling, and it was a mission that I wanted to be part of. Now, like the cathedral, Pitt is built on very firm, strong foundations. We have a clear mission. We respect our traditions and our history. We have our integrity, a type of professional Pittsburgh humility, our deep commitments to excellence and to service. These core values that have stood us so well are as important today as they ever were. They provide the strength and stability that we need to progress. But they don't mean that we are rebuilding the past. We are not an ivory tower, a place that you escape to, and the real world, and just contemplate the world around you. These things can happen while you're here, but universities are actually in the future business. And that means we have to be a full part of the vibrant and dynamic world around us. Those firm foundations that we build off of give us something to jump from. They're a launch pad. So our journey is actually into the rough weather of the real world. We seek to immerse ourselves in the full turbulence of the world around us, to tackle the biggest challenges, pursue the most disruptive technologies, to seek and understand the most profound questions, and to seek to serve in areas that sometimes can be most uncertain and most full of risk. These are the places where the future is made. So our core values of strength have to be blended and matched with core capacities for dynamism, so we can act and make a difference. And to create the future, our university must also have the capacity for hard work, for creativity, agility, a willingness to take smart risks, to engage the world in all of its diversity, full of all of its new ideas, and value the community that we're part of. So I told you I thought today was a great day to install a new chancellor. Why is that? Because today we are honoring you for your achievements and for accomplishments that you have made this year or during your time here at Pitt. We are here to celebrate you and to congratulate you, and we are proud of you and what you have done. But more importantly, today's ceremony is also designed as a public promise to the future. We are recognizing your achievements today because they illustrate your future potential to do great things, to live great lives, and to make a big difference. If Pitt's mission is to improve our state through knowledge, then ultimately you are the measuring stick for our success. After all, it is through the knowledge that you have created and the people that you have served and the lives of impact that you will live that are the transforming power of this university. So today's honors convocation is the right time to install a new chancellor. And it serves to remind me that my job is to serve this institution to the best of my abilities, to foster the conditions so that our students, our faculty, and our staff can do great things, to be your champion, represent your work to the world around us, and most of all, to be held accountable to you and by you, and to measure our success by your capacity to make a difference in the world around us. So I'm very proud and humbled to be installed as your chancellor today and to join with all of your friends and family in the great cause of building a better future together. It is my privilege to honor you today for your accomplishments and to recognize the promise of so many more that are going to come. So let me be the first to congratulate all of you for a job well done. Hail to Pitt.